Thanks, Robert. Next up is Judge Jodi Thomas from Franklin County Municipal Court.
All right, I'm going to take a hold of this. Well, good evening, everyone. I feel very honored and grateful to be here, and I want to thank all of the speakers this evening because honestly, the work that they're doing in the community is definitely helping the work that I'm doing in the courtroom. So, and I see it every day when I talk to the individuals that I work with that come in front of me, when they, have some stuff that they've gotten up at a pop-up event, or if they said that REACT came out and helped them get into treatment, it's working out in the community. So it's so important that we thank the partners that we have up here because I couldn't do my job without them. So as he said, I'm Judge Jodi Thomas. I'm one of the judges of the Franklin County Municipal Court. And I love the work that I'm doing in the courtroom, but this is probably one of the more important things that I do is getting off the bench, getting in the community, and bringing awareness to what we are doing because as we know, a lot of individuals that suffer from substance abuse, mental health, homelessness, everything that we're talking about here tonight end up being justice involved. And that means they end up in the court system, which means they end up in front of me. And so if I could bring awareness to what we're doing in the court system to try to address these issues, to me, it's a very important part of what I do. I do want to give a little bit of background. I've been on the bench for about 6 years, but I've been doing this for over 20 as far as practicing law. But 14 of those years, I was an attorney at the Franklin County Public Defender's Office. And I bring that up because when I started as a new lawyer in the court system, I was given a list of the types of charges that my clients would be charged with, a list of the judges, and kind of what those judges would do. It was very cookie cutter. It was kind of a one-size-fits-all kind of feel. And I had a background in social work. This was kind of frustrating for me because, all I wanted to do, I got into the field of law to help people, and it was kind of frustrating to see what we all see in the community and the stigmas of what we think the criminal justice system is about, and the individuals that are coming through those doors and how they view the criminal justice system. And it's one of those things, if I have a client that comes in that's been traumatized from early on, they're suffering from, drugs and all of the things that have happened to them, if they think that the court system is not going to help, that they're just going to put them in jail and I'm just a public pretender, why would they want to open up and share their deepest, darkest secrets about why they're there in the first place? So, but I can say, and I feel very fortunate to be sharing the stage with Miss Andrea Boxel up here, because when I was a young attorney, she came into the court, worked with one of our trailblazer judges, and helped create some of what I'm going to be talking about here tonight, or some of the programs that we have in the municipal court to help those that are coming in to our and through those courtrooms. It's pretty amazing, the work that has been created in the Franklin County Municipal Court. I feel very fortunate that we're in a community that is so progressive, that has so many amazing community resources to help those that are suffering. So it's pretty amazing. So I want to say that when I was a public defender, I was kind of the main attorney that represented individuals that chose to go into what we call our specialized dockets. What these programs are, and I'll say a little bit about what each one is that these are programs that are, the individuals go on probation. They're a very intensive probation, but it's very more of a therapeutic approach to helping them get through the criminal justice system. So a participant will plead guilty to get into the program, and they will see that judge weekly, and they will get all kinds of resources and support. And then at the end, the carrot is that their case, if eligible, will be vacated and dismissed. So kind of like a diversion program. So the very first program that we had that was started was our mental health court. It is now called LINK, Learning to Identify and Navigate Change. And I should say that, and I mentioned this because I got to go back to talk about when they were created, but when I was out campaigning to become a judge, I noticed, and it was very prevalent, about the stigmas that are in the community and how people feel about those that are suffering from substance abuse and mental health. And even with the programs we have and the names that we call them, we're, and the participants that come in there, they still kind of feel those stigmas. So if they go out and they're trying to apply for a job and they say, well, I'm in a drug court, or I'm in an opiate, court, well, immediately they are labeled and they're stigmatized and may not get that opportunity to have that job. So one of the things that I recognized, and when I came back and took over one of the programs, is immediately changed the name. And that kind of carried on to some of the other programs too. So the mental health court, which is now called Link, there's another judge that presides over it. But those are for individuals who are suffering from a severe mental illness. I would say the majority are also suffering from a substance abuse disorder as well, so that dual diagnosis piece. Then we have our alcohol and drug addiction program is what it was called. It's now called Recovery Court. That is a drug court that is for everything but opiates. And then when that was created, we did see that there was this, the rise in the opiates and heroin, and all these cases were coming in. So they created the Opiate Extension Program, which is now called, and this is one of the programs I preside over. It is called the HEART program, very similar to the HEART Hilliard, but it stands for Helping Achieve Recovery Together instead of the opiate court. And then we also have a military and veterans specialized docket program. And we have our human trafficking survivor docket called CATCH, which stands for Changing Actions to Change Habits. All of these specialized docket programs have, an idea of a particular person that would go into each one of these programs. But we look at what the most prevalent issues are. Obviously, most of them do have substance abuse issues, but if it's somebody who has been out in the streets soliciting, prostitution, being human trafficked, they're likely going to choose to go into the CATCH program, even though they are on, opiates or drugs. They'll choose that program because of the resources that are involved in that. So those are the 5 specialized dockets that we have. I currently preside over the HEART program, and I preside over the CATCH program, on top of the other stuff that I do on my regular docket. What I want to say about these specialized dockets, and it's very important to talk about this in the community, is that in order for somebody to get or to choose to be in one of these programs, they have to be offered it. And that means that their attorney has to say, hey, would you like to go into the drug court? Or sometimes we do have the diversion aspect where the prosecutor will get the case, and this gets into a little bit more than what we're here to talk about today. But there's other ways that the participants can get referred to these programs, but the main referral source is the attorney. But if that attorney doesn't offer it, then how do they know about these programs? So it's so important that if you have somebody that you know that does get justice involved, that may be suffering from any one of these issues, talk to them and say, maybe you can try to get into that HEART program, or maybe, they can get into CATCH. And I do a lot of training with law enforcement, with the Human Trafficking Task Force, with the CI training for officers, and we're constantly letting them know about these programs, about the work that we're doing with these individuals. And when they come across somebody on the community, if law enforcement, has somebody here that they're working with that might have overdosed, they can say, you might be a good candidate for this program. And sometimes they'll write that in their the report that will go to the prosecutor. Then that prosecutor will say something to that defense attorney and say, I think this is a good place for that person to end up. One of the other things I want to mention about the specialized dockets, which again, and why I kind of looked at changing the name even to HEART, Helping Achieve Recovery Together. Because initially when these programs were started, yes, it was about getting people off drugs. It was about helping them get through the criminal justice system with some dignity and some help, and putting them on a better path to become productive citizens of our community. But that we can't just focus on just getting individuals off drugs. We have to look at everything, the recovery, the whole pie. We've got, transportation, we've got housing, we've got family reunification, we've got education, we have employment. And if we don't address those while they're in our programs, then we're not helping them, because they're going to go back out and they're going to try to get that job, And if they haven't been able to get things off their record, or if they haven't, tried to address some of those underlying issues, they're not going to be able to hold down that job. They're not going to be able to get housing. They're not going to be able to get their kids back. And then guess what? They're going to go right back out and continue to use. So it's really important that these programs, we focus on all the different barriers and all the different things that these individuals have struggled in, and not just about getting them, clean and off drugs, which is definitely very important, and we definitely want to focus on that, but there's so much more that we can do. Now, as far as our statistics and our success rates, I want to say that the individuals that come into a specialized docket are our highest risk, highest need individuals. Franklin County is the busiest municipal court in the state of Ohio. So I have thousands of people that come through that court every week. So how are we able to help all of them? I can tell you right now in my opiate drug court, I have about 150 people in there right now. And I said I just have thousands of people that are coming through the court. So what about everybody else? And the majority of the people that we do see in the court do suffer from mental health and substance abuse. So there has to be other services that we need to provide in order to help these individuals, and not just the specialized dockets. And I will say that on average, the dockets only serve in each one, I would say there's an average of 75 to 100 in each one of those 5 programs that I mentioned. So regarding everybody else, we have, and I feel very fortunate to work with a bench of judges that have changed out of that cookie cutter philosophy of we have to put everybody in jail. One of the things I talk about is I remember being an attorney with a woman who came in front of a judge who had 5 or 6 soliciting charges, and he said they're the hardest person to hardest defendant to work with. They don't do probation. They always violate. I'm just going to give them jail time. And that honestly is the way that a lot of judges felt about some of these very high risk, high need populations. So I feel that the specialized dockets and the success of these programs have changed the way some of the judges view treatment and resources. So our whole probation department went on a complete overhaul. We are now a full evidence-based organization where we look at the risk of the individual coming and being placed on probation. Where are they at their risk level? Are they high risk? Are they moderate? Are they low? And then we place them with the appropriate probation officer that's gone through that training and the appropriate amount of dosage hours that person needs to be seen by probation. So that is one of the big changes. In addition, we have pretrial services that was created. So immediately upon arrest in an arraignment court, we're offering these individuals not only addressing their bond, for them to come back to court, but making referrals for alcohol and drug assessments, random screens, putting them on SCRAM's monitoring system. So we are doing so much earlier on than wait until the end and when we place these individuals on probation. In addition to pretrial supervision, we have now a new program that we just had the grand opening. I mean, it's been in existence for a little bit. It started during COVID, but it's called the MARCH program. It stands for MAT, Assessments, Referrals, Collaboration, and Hope. And this is I would say, like a drop-in resource center in the courthouse. And you don't have to be justice involved in order to participate in the resources that they have. You could be there with somebody that has a case and you might need some services yourself. You walk in, you can get an assessment. Department of Job and Family Services are there to help people with food stamps. They have linkage to all of the alcohol and drug referral places that we use in the community, as well as then referrals to our self-help resource center that we have that helps individuals with housing and eviction and expungement and sealing. So all of these things that we are providing in the courthouse right there for individuals is pretty remarkable, that they can come in maybe on their their darkest days, when people go in front of a judge, and they can walk out with that hope that they can heal, they can get better, and then they have resources, that will help them. and I should say, and judges that, don't say, and this is what I love about the name of this program tonight is Start Talking. We have to change the conversation with individuals that are suffering from substance abuse and mental health. One of my mentor judges, when he started the Catch program, would change and say, instead of saying, what did you do? He would say, what happened to you? How did you get here? And that is something that we can carry into the community when we're talking, with our kids. And, being okay to say that, when somebody's suffering from mental health, that's okay. That we, just like we talk about cancer and heart disease, we talk about addiction and anxiety and major depression. So I feel very fortunate. I wish, there's so many different things that go on in the courtroom now. I can tell you that anybody that comes in front of me is treated very differently than I think that we have this idea of what the court system looks like. When I'm running my specialized dockets, I'm not even sitting on the bench. I don't have a robe on. We're sitting probably in a circle in a group setting, eye to eye, because again, those stigmas, those barriers of what people view the criminal justice system to be, it just needs to change. And so, these therapeutic programs, these services, and we all collaborate together. I was just talking to, regarding the Hope Task Force, one of the things that has been really important is our treatment teams and who is on our treatment teams when we're working with these individuals, from the prosecutor to law enforcement to the defense attorney to peers in recovery to the treatment providers. I mean, we have just the heart program. Just alone, my staff is over 10, and then our treatment providers, we probably have over 18, and I'm trying to figure out how to pull law enforcement into there. I think some of the stories we've used with Hope is, sometimes people don't show up to court. I have to issue a warrant when we don't know where they're at, and if we do find out where they're at, we've called Hope Task Force to go out to not necessarily execute the warrant, but have that conversation and say, well, if you're ready, Judge Thomas would love to see you go into the Mary Haven Stabilization Unit to get to detox and to treatment and get back into our program, or we might have to, take you to jail and figure things out. So, I mean, and honestly, for the 3 times that we've tried this, they've all been very successful where they've gotten into treatment. I don't want to have to put anybody in jail. Sometimes it happens. But to be able to partner with organizations like we have up here, it really is remarkable that we're able to use all these resources to help the individuals that come into the court system. So I think that's a little bit about the programs we have. I mean, there's multiple other things that we're doing in the court system, but each one of those programs, the specialized dockets, that's where I spend the majority of my time, so that's kind of where my passion is. I mentioned, the opiate drug court, because that obviously is a lot of the issues that we're dealing with here today. I know and then the Catch program, as I said, is the human trafficking, which a big issue that is, more and more people are talking about, not recognizing that, oh my gosh, we have human trafficking going on right here in our neighborhoods, on our streets, in Columbus and Franklin County. But as Andrea said, the way our state is situated in the country, our freeways, we have 5 major freeways going in and out, the drug trafficking, we're close to other major, cities. So unfortunately, that brings people here to take advantage of our women and individuals suffering, from addiction. So thank you so much for allowing me to come in. I hope that as far as resources or finding out more about our programs, the Franklin County Municipal Court has an amazing website that has all the different programs and things that we offer individuals that do come into the court. And of course, my information's, I think it's up there, yep. Feel free to shoot me an email or a call, and I'm happy to answer any questions or help anybody get into one of our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Next up, we have Ohio Addiction Recovery Center, and I will say